Yeah. Good afternoon. It is the Valenti and Rico show. I'm Stoney in for Mr. Valenti. We got Kenny Cott, the Hatchet Man, David Hull. Rico, I know you're a lot more professional than I am, but I got to tell you something. Because I'm more of a fan of this team than you are. I am pissed. And I'm not pissed that they lost in 6 games per se. I'm pissed that they lost in 6 games the way it went down. And in particular, what happened last night was, I hate to use the C word, they choked. They choked out of the get-go and they showed no energy early. They had a nice, amazing comeback to make it reasonable at the end of the half. And then they came out in the third quarter. I don't know what J.P. Bickerstaff said to them at halftime. That didn't work because the Knicks built up a big lead. But they went on that 20-2 run and were up 7 points with 2 minutes and 35 seconds left to play. In Game 6, it appeared that they were going to force a Game 7 in Madison Square Garden. They choked. Not only did many of the players choke, the coaches choked too. And that doesn't take anything away from the amazing job that Jalen Brunson did down the stretch like he always does. And he didn't have to get hurt in the fourth quarter to come back to do it either.
No. Stoney, here's the thing. It's upsetting, but I guess I'm not as upset because I didn't expect them to win this series.
Oh, either did I, you know that.
But this is there's only a handful of times in sports where, and it sounds bad, I'm okay with the moral victory. When you win 14 games the previous year and you make this dramatic of an improvement, what I'm hoping that they did was learn from this. This will be the only time this will be acceptable. This will be the only time that I'm not going to be like you and blow a gasket, okay? Because you had, of all the games that you played, you had all 6 of them at one point.
Yes.
You could have won this thing in 4. You could have swept them. You played well enough. But throughout each game, Game 1, they go on a 21-0 run. You have to learn how to play a full 48. You have to learn how to play together and not turn the ball over. I thought it was fitting that their final play this season was a turnover.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just like, you know what? That right there was a microcosm of this entire series where the game was on the line. Game was on the line in Game 4, Cade misses the shot. You know who didn't miss the shot last night? Brunson.
Yeah.
Nails the 3.
It was a great play.
So I'm not as upset as you because I look at whether this is the only year that I'll be this way. From here on out, Trajan Langdon has to make improvements. That team that we saw last night can't be the same team that you run it back with.
No.
You got to make some changes.
No, it's so obvious. They need what they need. They need a stretch 4, if you want to call him, a big guy who can actually shoot from further away than Jalen Duren can. And that's Jalen Duren played very well in this series for the most part. But he's limited. If you're going to take that next step, you need that other player. And who that's going to be, who the hell knows. But they have to address it. But when you look back, the reason I'm really upset with Bickerstaff, and first let me say he deserves Coach of the Year. He's done a fabulous job in turning this thing around. He really has. He's been a great coach. But in these playoffs, and, Evan and I do the Restore the Floor podcast, and during the season, we talked about even that, people have told me that he bitches more than any other coach in the league, and I was worried. We had assistant vice president of basketball ops, Michael Blackstone, on the pod, and we said, we were talking about JB, and I was kidding around. I said, you got to say something to him because I don't want technical foul to cost you a playoff game. Now it's only 1 point, but he got another stupid technical in the first half of the game yesterday. That point, they lost by 3, but the game could have, I don't know. But the strategy.
Well, I mean, but Stoney, if you think about it, that point you don't have to shoot a 3. Kay could have drove to the basket and got an and-1.
You're right. What bothers me the most about the coaching last night was two things. Number one and foremost, you're up by 5, 110-105. And he takes Ausar Thompson out of the game. Ausar Thompson was playing terrific defense on Brunson in the fourth quarter. In fact, in that fourth quarter, when he was the prime defender of Brunson went like 1 for 5 or 1 for 6. The one being the game-winning shot. But he pulled him out, and I don't know. Look, we know he's had health things. Maybe he was fatigued. I don't know. From what I've understand, I did some investigating last night at the game. It had nothing to do with any health deal. But it just makes no sense to me that you sub him with 3:52 left in the game. He's a young guy. He didn't play a huge amount of minutes either. You're up 5. You sub him out. And then you actually go up another 2 points when Hardaway made the shot. And then when you're up 7 with 2:35 left, Brunson driving floater with the and one after the challenge failed, which I have no problem with them challenging that one because it was late enough in the game to take a chance. So now they're up 4. Then Brunson, after a miss alley-oop by Duren, Brunson scores again, makes it 112-110. Then he puts him back in. So he sat for 2.5 minutes. And in those 2.5 minutes, Brunson scored 5 points. Whether he would have or wouldn't have, I don't know. But you can't, that made no sense to me. And then on the final play, I know Brunson's really smart. He knows that they're going to shade him left. So he kind of knew that's what he was going to do and go back to his right. And he made a great move. Great move. I don't know. To me, wouldn't you do what the Knicks did to Cade Cunningham in that situation? You don't let Brunson get the ball. You double him, make it so much difficult. And if he's gonna pass the ball to a wide open Deuce McBride, I'll take my chances. If Deuce McBride's gonna hit a 3 to win the game, I'll live with that.
Brunson's shot had shades of Byron Russell.
Oh,
Jordan,
yes.
Where he just kind of shoved him to the side.
Yeah. Not as physical, but yes.
So I was like,
it was great.
All right, he just went sliding wow. Yeah. Okay, open 3, and he just nailed it.
Double him. You don't want him to you don't want their best player to beat you. That bothered me. But because Ausar Thompson, he's going to live with this. He's a young player, but he played terrific defense on him most of the game.
But see, I think that they probably took him out of the game, Stoney, to get a little more offense, to score more points, because
I know that's why they
because I don't have if I'm Tibbs, I'm not guarding him. I'm gonna leave him wide open, and if he hits a 3 or if he hits a basket, you live with that. But I think if you're the Pistons, you're like, okay, it backfired on you. We have to continue scoring because they're not dead yet, and they weren't. No. They found a way. The 11-1 run, it shocked me. I was like, they really went on an 11-1 run to end the game.
Yeah.
Because it looked as if the crowd was into it. The game was over. And, we're going to Game 7 Saturday night in New York. And, okay, well, Brunson gets the and one. You'll still find it. Okay, you missed that. And then he hits the 3. And
then when he missed the shot, Bridges came out of nowhere with a great tip in to tie the game.
And if you took it to overtime, Cat was already out of the game.
Which actually, in a weird way, helped them, because if Cat was on the floor when Cade was driving, he wouldn't have defended him as good as Mitchell Robinson did. Yeah. They actually benefited in a weird way by having Karl Anthony Towns out of the game at that time. It's just upsetting. I think if they would have got blown out last night, I wouldn't have been as upset. But when you're up 7 with under 3 minutes to play, you expect to win the game at home.
You lost all the games at home.
And by the way, speaking of home, the last 5, if I'm doing my math correctly, that'll be the last 6, yes. No, the last 5. The last 5 home playoff games in this town were 0 for 5. The 3 against Pistons, the Lions, and the last Tiger game that they lost to Cleveland. At home, they lost. That set it to Game 5 in Cleveland.
So it's your fault, Detroit. 248-539-9797.
The crowd was great. I'm not blaming the crowd, but it's kind of weird. We talk
Sounds
about
like you're blaming the crowd. You blaming Detroiters, Stoney?
I'm just blaming the whole home field advantage. Didn't work. The last
Crowd did
calendar
everything.
year.
Crowd did everything
Yes,
in
they
all
did.
of those games. You know what? The players came up short, and it's why I will only. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to get upset because you won 14 games. You took a major step forward. You were very competitive in this. And Stoney, maybe it's like with the other Pistons teams, you had to go through the fire.
Hopefully, that's right. Hopefully, you're correct.
You had to go through the fire to realize, this is what playoff basketball is about. Because you could talk about it all you want. Because I remember before the series, like, they beat the Knicks three out of 4 times. Like, it's regular season. It's not the same.
Yes, we did the show. We tried to educate people.
And now I think the Pistons and the fans realize it is a difference. You got a good team. You're a player away from being a great team.
Our telephone number is 248-539-9797. We'll take your phone calls, your texts. Don't forget who said it coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, 97.1 The